Hello, everyone. This is going to be episode 3 of MinMax Fitness, and I was originally going to talk about cheat days and refeeds for episode 3, but I figured that since there's a couple of things that I forgot to mention in the previous video, I'd like to go in and mention these things first because I feel it's more important. This video is going to cover my current fat loss calories and macros. I'm going to be very specific with all of this. A lot of it is pretty much notes that were taken from my phone and emailed to myself onto my laptop. So basically, keep in mind that a lot of this is tailored towards my own personal preference with dietary fat, protein, and whatnot. But hopefully, a lot of you can gain some value from this because this information, coupled with what I said in the last video, um, will be really useful, and I think it would help make the episode 2 complete. So let's go and get started. I'm going to have annotations of everything within this video. I don't know where I'm going to place it, but annotations will be available. So if you've turned your annotations off, you may want to turn that on so you can follow along better. Um, okay, so my current weight right now is approximately around 175 pounds, give or take 1 or 2. I'm actually using 11 calories per pound of body weight. And the main reason I'm using 11 calories is because although I'm going to the gym 3 times a week and I am walking every now and then, the majority of my time throughout the day is spent on the computer. So since I am sedentary for the majority of the time, I'm using 11 calories per pound of body weight rather than 12. So that's what I'm using for my calculation. Um, 11 calories per pound of body weight of what I am right now, so it would be like 11 times 175, which is about 1,925 calories daily. But rather than doing it like that, I'm actually distributing my calories differently to allow for one refeed or carb up day weekly. Um, Essentially, my calories are distributed at 1,800, approximately around there, on six consecutive days before a refeed on the 7th day that brings my calories up towards maintenance, which will be anywhere between 2,400 to 2,650 on my calories. So, like 175 pounds at approximately 14 to 15 calories per pound of body weight would be anywhere between around 2,400 to 2,625. So that's approximately where my calories are going to be on that 7th day for my refeed. Okay, so I have my dietary fat intake. My dietary fat intake is going to be set to 45% of my body weight, and that's 78 grams of fat on a daily basis. Now I'm keeping that static. I'm also keeping my protein static as well. My protein intake is set to 82% of my lean body mass, which is, approximately 120 grams to 125 grams, but just to be on the safe side for muscle retention and whatnot, I'm just going to go ahead and have it set to 125 grams. And I've been doing this for about a month, and I haven't noticed any muscle losses. Protein guilt is something pretty common, especially among naturals, so it's completely understandable that a lot of you out there may feel uncomfortable going with a lower protein intake, but I've actually experienced a lot of strength gains and muscle gains from what it looks like, just appearance-wise. I haven't got a DEXA scan, like I said before, but just from what I can tell, like it seems like I've gotten some muscle gains, strength gains for sure. So protein intake static 125 on a daily basis, and fat intake static 78 grams on a daily basis. Now my fat intake, like I said, is set to 45%. Now depending on the leanness of the individual, they could go with 25%. But any fat intake that's set between 30% and 60% is considered quite viable. So pretty much whatever you decide to set your dietary fat with is pretty much dependent on your carb tolerance, how you feel your body handles carbs, and all that good stuff. But for me personally, I like 45% because 78 grams of fat is a very good number for me because it allows me to be very flexible with my food choices. So, after setting up my dietary fat and my protein intake through 1,925 calories, I would then figure out my carb intake, which would be approximately 180 grams due to what remains from those 1,925 calories. So far you have 78 grams of fat, 180 grams of carbs, and 125 grams of protein. So that fat and that protein intake, like I said, is kept stable across all the days. Now, for my carb refeed or my refeed day or my carb up day, I'm actually just going to be increasing my carb intake to around 2 times my body weight. So I weigh around 175 pounds. I'm going to be increasing my carb intake on that day to approximately 350 to 360 grams of carbs. Now, to maintain 1,260 grams of carbs weekly, I'm actually going to be redistributing those carbohydrates from 180 grams daily to 150 grams, which is around, approximately 1 gram per pound of my lean body mass for 6 consecutive days. And then I'm going to be doubling my carb intake to, around 360 grams on the 7th day. And I mean doubling as in double of my body weight, so around 350 to 360. I'll go to mention this briefly because I feel it's important, even though I plan to talk about refeeds later. Basically, traditionally refeeds call for the person to taper down their dietary fat. Some people go less than 10 grams of fat on that day, less than 20 grams of dietary fat on that day. I've been doing a lot of research, especially on like Alan Aragon's interviews and a lot of his posts, and he just recommended it's dependent on the person as well, but just keeping your fat and your carbs stable throughout. I mean, your fat and your protein. Sorry, your fat and your protein stable throughout the whole week, and then on your refeed day, just increasing your carbohydrate amount. And actually, I did that yesterday, and I feel great. I feel probably better because I've done refeed days before, structured refeeds, but I feel like I feel better just increasing the carb amount and keeping my fat stable and my protein stable. It, like he mentions, it may not be optimal, but it's still just as effective. Okay, so like I said, my calories on my refeed day are increased towards maintenance, which is 14 to 15 calories per pound of body weight. Okay, so right here you can see my weekly goal. My weekly goal for my calories is approximately 13,454, give or take. That's just an approximation. Right here are my daily macros for days 1 through 6. As you can see, it's 1802 calories, and then 78 grams of fat, 150 grams of carbs, like I mentioned, and then 125 grams of protein. I don't use percentages personally, but if you're interested in percentages, I have those listed as well. And then right here you can see my refeed macros for day 7. Day 7 for me is going to be Sundays, because Monday is squat day. It's probably, other than deadlifting, it's my most intense day. So I have my refeed day the day prior. So as you can see, it's 2,642 calories, 78 grams of fat, 360 grams of carbs, and 125 grams of protein. And you can see all the percentages there as well. Okay. So real briefly, I want to speak about macronutrient cycling, because what I mentioned before is a more flexible approach. It's a more balanced approach. It's not exactly what I used to do before. I used to lose weight, I used macronutrient cycling, or carb cycling as it's known. And I did that coupled with calorie cycling as well. I didn't do it structured and with any kind of structure to it. It was just I just thought of low carb on rest days, and then higher carb on workout days, with lower fat on my workout days, and then higher fat on my rest days. I used to just think like that. I didn't have any kind of structure to it. What I've done and what I'm going to do in this segment is essentially add structure to what I was doing before with macronutrient cycling, because when I was doing it from summer of 2012 to spring of 2013, even all the way until the end of 2013, I had really no structure with it. It was just all guesswork, and it was all very it wasn't. My macros weren't optimal, I guess you could say. Okay, so this is taking the same approach, but if I were to do macronutrient cycling. Now this is no longer my method of doing things, but if it were to, or if it's something that you're interested in trying, then this will probably help you do it. Okay, so what I would do if I was choosing to do macro cycling is I would eat an average of 1 gram per pound of body weight in protein throughout the week. Now, this is 175 grams of protein across all days, and approximately 1,225 grams of protein weekly. I would also eat an average of 1 gram per pound of body weight in carbohydrates throughout the week, which is 175 grams of carbs across all days, and then 1,225 grams of carbs weekly. My dietary fat requirements would be lowered from 45% of my total body weight to 33% of my body weight, which is approximately 58 grams. I would also implement calorie cycling along with macronutrient cycling, and I'd use the same average weekly caloric intake of 11 calories per pound of body weight, which is 1,925 calories. Now, calorie cycling would distribute my calories differently and allow for me to eat at maintenance calories, approximately 14 calories per pound of total body weight, on the 3 days I work out during the week. And that's days 1, 3, and 5, or Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in my case. The remainder of those calories are then distributed evenly, and they're divided evenly rather, across the remaining 4 days, which are rest days, which will be days 2, 4, 6, and 7, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday in my case. Protein is distributed to allow for 1.4 grams of protein of my total body weight, which is approximately 210 grams of protein on my workout days for satiety. Due to the amount of lower dietary fat I'm going to be intaking, I'm going to need some for satiety. And 1 gram per pound of lean body mass, which is approximately 150 grams of protein on my rest days to allow for lower carb and to allow for a higher dietary fat intake. So these are the daily calories and macronutrients before the adjustments. As you can see, it's 1,925 calories, 58 grams of fat, 175 grams of carbs, and 175 grams of protein. Now, these are the calories and macros after all the adjustments. As you can see, pretty much they essentially use the same average amount of calories and average macros. They're just it's just now things are being cycled. Calories are being cycled and the macros are being cycled. So as you can see right here, workout days now have 2,450 calories, which is an approximate maintenance at approximate maintenance level. 30 grams of fat, 336 grams of carbs, which are net carbs. I'm not talking about total carbs. I'm talking about net carbs. So fiber is not included in that 336. 210 grams of protein. For my rest day, you can see 1,527, which were, this is all from the calories that were divided and left up. So with that 1,527, you can see 79 grams of fat, 54 grams of carbs, and 150 grams of protein. So I just want to make a quick note. Whenever I do say carb intake, and whenever I am giving numbers for carb intake, I am referring to net carbs. So I just wanted to clarify that. So it doesn't include fiber. Okay, so that's essentially it. I just wanted to, give you all this video so you can see the way I do things, all the calculations that I do, all the stuff that goes into everything that I do, and I wanted to let you all see what I do for my flexible approach, which is what I'm doing now and what I feel most comfortable with, and then what I would be doing if I were doing macronutrient cycling with the methods that I know now. So if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe for more content in the Min-Max Fitness series. And you can also you can also follow me. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and MyFitnessPal. And that's pretty much it. All right, everyone. I'll talk to y'all later. Okay, bye-bye.